Hello everyone and welcome to another LEGO Transformers video. Today we have Beast Wars Bonecrusher. If I sound a little far away, I forgot his accessory. So Bonecrusher here, this is based on the Michael Bay movie one, not the G1 version, which not necessarily for alt mode, more for robot mode. His alt mode here is a Wendigo. So you can actually bring his head up, which makes it a little more noticeable. So a Wendigo is a cryptid or folklore creature that is basically if a human is in the woods during the cold temperatures or whatever, and they cannibalize another person out of hunger, they will transform into a Wendigo, which is basically a creature that permanently hungers. And every time it eats, it grows to the size of its last meal, making sure its hunger can never be fully fulfilled. So Bonecrusher here has the same sort of affliction, but for Energon. Even though he has enough Energon to survive, he currently is like in a constant feed loop of wanting more and more Energon. So he doesn't have a weapon because there's not really any weapons you can give to Bonecrusher, because his design, he kind of is just a weapon. But I do have an accessory for him, which is this Energon-soaked piece of metal that is probably from an Autobot of some sort, from the badge. He is ripped off that he can munch on. There's not really any way for him to properly hold it. You can pose him in a way that he looks like he's eating it, but there's no proper way for him to hold it. He does shrink a lot as well. He goes from like this... Honestly, if you stand this thing up on its rear legs, it's probably about the same sort of height as a commander class. Or more like a modern leader class, maybe a little bit taller than that. But in like my scale, like my commander class is more of like a big leader, or like an old school leader. So like he stands about that sort of height. If you have him, the Bumblebee movie Soundwave, not the shitty one, the actual cool one that is just like the Titans Return version but repainted slightly, like that sort of size. That is about how tall this guy is, stood on his rear legs. But he is supposed to be posed on all fours like this. You see his head. This isn't based off the Native American folklore, where certain tribes would see it as like an actual like skin, like just a really big human that was like really like malnourished and spindly. Kind of like if you look at Fallout 76, that's how the Wendigo appears in that game, a bit more accurate to its original tale. This is based more off of the European version with like the antlers and the deer skull type head, which is what I've got going on, mostly because, well, it's more visually interesting for a design. This is a Transformer figure. I'm not here to get into like a sort of controversial look of like, is this a fair depiction of a Wendigo and is this offensive or cultural appropriation? Because honestly, I really don't care that much. It's not like it's the first time for Transformers. Jazz is like a sports car that has a black voice actor, or at least has like a stereotypical black style like voice and dialogue and listens to rap music all the time. That shit is way more fucking racist than this, in my opinion, but you know. Having said that, I don't have an issue with Jazz. Jazz is cool. So, getting into standing up, you can see he's just this big old humanoid thing. He's got little articulated toes and fingers. And there's not much to say about this now. Like, it's about the same. The posing isn't that amazing. He's got a lot of ball joints that you can see, and the ball joints about pose how you'd expect them to. So let's get into his transformation. So it's actually incredibly simple. We're going to start by lifting the head here, like that. We're then going to rotate, fold in the antlers, swivel this little piece and push it in. Going to do the same on the other side. We're then going to bring it all the way up, rotate it, and fold it back. I'm going to take the arms, put them out like that, and then straightening out the legs, and we're then just going to pull on them at the waist, which opens up his chest, exposing a lot of the robot mode, as well as his legs. So we're then going to take the legs here, which form the chest of the Wendigo, and rotate them in these spots. Then rotate his toe claw thingies down. And he does actually have the wheels. That's something I wanted to incorporate. And then the Wendigo legs are going to fold up, and then it's broken off, but the feet are going to straighten out, and this is going to form his tail that he has in the Bay films that is usually the Minesweeper. Here he has two tails formed from the Wendigo's legs. And then the arms, we're going to fold them back up like that. And then we're going to rotate. It is broken off, but we're going to rotate these little pieces here underneath the arms to sort of keep the shoulders in place. And then these pieces break off a lot. These have to sit in this way for the robot mode to be able to rest properly in Wendigo mode. So we're then going to rotate those in, and then bring the arms down and flare the shoulders up a little bit, and then just rotate the hands. I'm probably like really close to the mic and super loud right now. And then pose him in a way that he'll actually stand. And just rip an entire chunk of his legs off. Getting this guy to stand is a little tricky because after all, he is on like little. He is on wheels. He can stand. I think it's just the unevenness and like the fact that this isn't a perfectly flat surface. There we go. Sort of understand. I'm gonna like lean him back for simplicity. And if I just hold him up, you can see there he is in his robot mode, which is very 2007 movie looking, aside from the fact the hands are much larger and the arms are a little bit longer and a lot skinnier. But he has got like the hunched head, the sort of like general stance, like the little wheeled legs, and of course the Minesweeper tails, which it's kept the look pretty well from like the toes articulating. That also does mean that these are like super posable with these twin tails. Not too bad for Kibble, it's just kind of like the Wendigo head sits on his back. This really shows how much he's compacted down. He is now like a little bit bigger than a core class. If I bring in like Bumblebee for, like if I bring in my Beast Wars style Bumblebee for comparison, he's not going to stand. But he's not too big. He's a pretty small character. There's another thing to really show off his size. Bring in a video that I did upload. I'm going to just like try and adjust my setup to get it as level as possible. So stand this guy. But I did, my last upload was a fuck up. So I uploaded my video on Overlord. And I did not realize, but I didn't edit it. So like the whole intro sequence was missing with like the alt modes and everything, and you just saw like the robot mode. And that was such a fuck up. I didn't realize until literally like earlier when I was going to upload this. I was like, I didn't edit the clips together. I just uploaded like the biggest clip. So that entire video is missing a big chunk. He really just does not want to stand today. Come on. He usually stands perfectly fine. It's the second I've got him on camera, that's when he just does not want to stand anymore. Yeah, we did it. Bringing in a much larger character. Please don't fall. We have Overlord. You can see he's just significantly larger. And Overlord is big, but he's not really that massive of a character on my display. He's big. He's like a large leader, like a real fucking big leader. And he's like super fucking like dense and bulky. And then bringing in a character that, again, I still need to do a video on this guy. And he's one of like, I don't just do beast modes. And this guy is kind of proof of that. We have him next to Optimus Prime, who can absolutely shred him if you want to go with like the really stupid Michael Bay route of Optimus Prime like massacring everything on sight with no explanation. Like, at least give an explanation for why he's a violent psychopath and just kills everything on sight. Yeah, I went with this version of bonecrusher because I was going to say no hate to the G1ers. This is probably going to offend some of them because a lot of people that exclusively watch G1 are man children that cry over literally anything being different to G1, which I think is stupid. Because G1, in my opinion, this might offend some people, might be a sort of like hot take. G1 is one of the uglier design like categories for Transformers. It's iconic, but that doesn't mean it's one of the best. Like, a lot of people probably know my stance. I see animated as one of the best, alongside like IDW, Transformers Prime. I don't like the Bayverse either, but I don't necessarily put G1 that far above Bayverse, other than the fact that it's more iconic, and the colors are just a lot less dull than Bayverse tends to be. But seeing a character like this, where it's a rare, non-grey character in the Bayverse, where they're just grey for no reason. But seeing a character like this, I really like him. And I liked the unique look of bonecrusher. He was one of my favourites from the movie. Yeah, he looks super stupid and like clunky and shit. But I really enjoy like weird proportions sometimes for characters. So I just looked at this guy, I was like, I like that more than just weird green and purple digger thingy with like treads for legs. That, and I don't have that much of an interest in building the full combiner for I was about to say Menasor. It's not Menasor. My head has just stopped functioning. I'm trying to sell my legacy Menasor, so like my head is so screwed right now. But Devastator, that's it. I do want to build Devastator potentially, maybe even a Beast Wars one. Because like building a Beast Wars combiner would be so much fun. And like making all of them like little heavy duty animals and like animals that have similar stuff. I imagine Hightower just being like a big mechanical giraffe and just how awesome that would be. Oh, I'd love that. It would be so much fun. I might do that, and I might potentially put bonecrusher in there as part of it. Even though he's not really construction-based right now, or even military-based. He's like this big, uncontrollable fucking monster. You can see him compared to like what was like a little chunk compared to him before. It's pretty big. I'm also happy about having the wheels, despite having a beast mode, because again, that's something that I thought was like, that's an iconic part of this design. And I had to keep it, as well as the long arms, and of course the tail. I've seen some people do designs where he doesn't have the tail, but I like the tail. I like having like an extra appendage, like extra pair of arms or whatever, like with Mayhem. Like, I talk a lot about him. I'll bring Mayhem in for size comparison. I love Mayhem so much. It's like my own, not just because it's my own design, but also like giving a character 4 arms isn't done a lot, and it's just cool. So there he is next to a standard deluxe sized character with Mayhem. He was a little 4-armed biplane type guy. Anyway, a lot of ramblings going on here. If you've clicked off of this video by now, I don't blame you. Oh shit. Oh, I nudged the display. It's like a bunch of figures just started falling over on like the actual like display I have everyone on. And I have no idea why. Like Bumblebee is just wiped out of nowhere. And I'm trying to like fix him because his legs are broken. Shit. Okay. One of Bumblebee's legs has just catapulted like under a piece of furniture. So and this guy keeps falling over because he refuses to stand on this surface. Any flat surface, because I will have instructions available for this guy at some point. Any flat surfaces, he will stand on just fine. But if you have like a sort of angled surface of any sort, he won't. Don't expect him to stand, because he will just fall over constantly on like any non-flat surface. You need to keep him on like a flat, stable base. Because having wheels will always make a character super unstable. He does have his little toe claw thingies, but he is still unstable. It's just kind of an expectation I had for the design. and with like the tails making him back heavy, it's kind of like you can't expect much more than like him being a bit unstable. But with that being said, this has been my look at Beast Wars Bonecrusher. Again, instructions will be available for this guy on my Etsy shop soon. I'm thinking because of his size, I will probably put him at like 7 pound probably, like that area. Like 6 pound, like a little bit more than like RC, because RC is a lot more simple compared to this guy. Well, she's not more simple, she's probably about the same complexity with like her axolotl mode, but like she isn't as big in terms of like density. She's a lot skinnier. Anyway, he's gonna keep falling over because this surface is literally like angled this way. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you for some reason stayed this long, I really appreciate it that you for some reason care about my ramblings. But the next video will be, I don't know, probably gonna be the re-upload for Overlord. So if you watched the other video of Overlord, I'm sorry that you completely missed the alt modes and transformation. Because that was in like the first half. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next video.